I recently invented a problem, and here's the thing about inventing problems. You now need to invent solution. Lucky for me, someone had already built the solution I was looking for. It's called BAML. This is the story of how BAML became the backbone of our agentic infrastructure and why it could help you too if you are building an application that need to work with multiple interchangeable LLM models like Claude, OpenAI, Gemini, etc. If you're building a system that requires reliable structural output from LLMs, or you are building a platform that need to give users real-time progress, an agent is streaming tokens and you need to structure it and present it to the user in a nice UI, that kind of stuff. So let me explain why we needed BAML in the first place. So we are building an AI work platform for construction worker. It's called Flowlly. Here's what we needed: multiple model support. Why? Because Claude and OpenAI, they are amazing, but they are very, very expensive. Open source models are moving fast, and we are seeing that the gap is closing really fast. For our use cases, the open source model can do a lot of stuff. And so we wanted our customer to explore different models and pick what works best for them. And that also help us not break our bank when we run Claude 4.6 Opus model. Our users can spin agents to handle seriously complicated tasks like structural calculations, schedule design and optimization, change order analysis. So at the heart, any agent platform has the agentic loop. And here's how it works. If you give a task to an agent, it uses tools to read, write documents, search for relevant context, call external APIs, and then results are fed back into the loop until the task is complete. Real world loops are much more complex with human in the loop scenarios, but at the core, you can think of it as a while loop that keeps spinning until the task is done. So here's where it gets complicated. The first of all is function calling problem. Each provider has their own schema. So if I go and look at the schema from Google, it looks very different from a schema from OpenAI, which has a kind of different schema, more or less same, but you have to process it differently. And then you have Anthropic, a different kind of schema. If you go into the details of this schema, they have different tool IDs that you have to maintain those tool IDs, and you have to keep them from one loop to another loop to make it consistent. And so there's a lot of work that goes under the hood to make it work with different models. Problem two that I had was invisible prompt injection. So when you call OpenAI's function calling or tool calling with your own schemas, OpenAI just inject bunch of stuff into your prompt to make sure that you are getting the structure output. This is good for getting a good structure output, but when you are building a production layer application, every token matters, and you need full visibility into what's going into the LLMs, so you can control the output really neatly. The third problem I had was parallel function calling. So OpenAI and all of these providers provide you tools to make sure that you can parallelly call different tools and function calls, but I felt like they were not calling it optimally, and that led to longer execution times for simple functions, generated a lot of tokens that I could have saved. So I thought going chat route and using BAML to structure my output for the function calling was a better option because I can do parallel function calling much efficiently. Problem four, not all models call function calling. And like I mentioned before, I wanted to use open source model because they are catching up fast. So BAML is a great solution there. I can use Kimi K2.5. Also, I can take a small model, train it really fast on my problem, and I don't have to then think about if it's going to call tools or not. Only thing it needs to do is just output BAML schema, which is JSON schema, and I can transform that into tool call. And this is where the BAML changes the game. So instead of wrestling with provider specific schema and invisible prompt injection, BAML gives you a clean model agnostic way to handle tool callings. With BAML, you can write your definitions once. BAML handles the translation to any provider's format. You can get full control and visibility over your prompts. You can support parallel function calling naturally, and it works with any model, even ones without native function calling. So, right, let me show you how everything works. Let me go into find a problem. I have created a problem called scheduling problem. If you see it, very simple problem for construction analysis. You have a three-story commercial office building project that you need to prepare a schedule for. There's a bunch of constraint, how many equipments, how many people are available, uh, what kind of activities you need to do, and we need to do a complete schedule for this. And we need to optimize our schedule, and we have some deliverables for this thing. So I'm just going to attach this problem to the chat, and um, maybe let's use Opus 4.6, solve the scheduling problem. So the agent need to read the problem first. It has super fast read the problem, and now it's working through the solution. I'll wait for some time and see what we get. So I want to cut back and show you how BAML is helping you stream the content while Claude is writing the Excel formulas. I wanted to have our users see them in real time so they know um, agent is working behind the scene and there's not just a wheel spinning. Another thing I wanted to show what BAML is powering while the agent is solving this problem is human in the loop problem, because now we had the static site deployment to the public hosting, and agent need users approval before it can host the website, so accidentally it doesn't leak the data if it hosts a public solution. So I'm just going to go approve it, and this is going to pass, and we'll see how the agent proceeds with it. The final network diagram of the problem that agent solved, and it gave me a visual output how the activity is done. So we have an Excel workbook where the activities are linked, shared. There's a Gantt chart. The agent built the Gantt chart. There's the resources. So it wrote a bunch of programs like Python programs to calculate and solve the problem. Agents are doing a bunch of calls. We are parsing them into different function calls, and then we are accumulating the results and running the loop. And BAML is just being able to do all this very, very effectively. The main thing is this Flowlly agent. So it's a union of all these tool calls that agent can make. We use array so to suggest that the agent can call multiple tools simultaneously, and this is what Flowly agent responsible for parsing any response that agent creates into the JSON schema that we can take and execute. So our tool schemas are defined in BAML. The main parser for LLM response utilizes the union of this schema, allowing us to simultaneously parse multiple results. Another thing I wanted to ensure while building this schema is that there isn't an emphasis on how function calls or JSON calls should be formatted, and I wanted some control over this. Let me explain. Imagine your prompt has 100 intelligence points, just random. And your prompt is divided among different aspects of your work, such as how to solve a problem, how to format a response, uh, how to handle errors, and the general knowledge of your tool definition. What I wanted was a maximum energy should be spent on problem solving aspect. So out of this 100 intelligence point, 80 to 90 intelligence points should be dedicated to your problem solving skill. And then agents shouldn't we shouldn't overemphasize how to format the schemas, how to properly call JSON formats, and all those things. And I wanted a strict control over this. And this is where BAML was really useful, because if I go back and I show you how my prompt is formatted, the system prompt, what I've done is I've taken the BAML schemas and I have strategically placed in my system prompt. So there's not overemphasis on how to format the tool call, but the definition of how to format a tool call becomes part of the intelligence model, because you can embed some knowledge on how to solve a problem and all those, and you can strategically place different tool calls in different areas of your prompt, so giving it a very kind fluid design to your prompt, whereas when you go with this function calling examples, you have very little control over how these callings are formatted on the back end by OpenAI or Gemini. So finally, I just want to say, go check them out. It's BAML. It's a fantastic framework. I don't use chain, all those kind of things, because again, my thing was I needed full control over my prompt and how every single intelligence point is spent in solving the problem. And BAML kind of solves that for me. And if you have any other questions, please let me know. Thank you.